I think it was not only the goals, there were many more chances as well, so it was a spectacular game to watch. I think for 60 minutes we did everything we had to do. We were comfortable and good with the ball, but the main thing is that we work very, very, very hard. And then the same players with the same quality thought that 10-15 minutes of not working as hard was also good enough. But then you immediately concede because Tottenham has very good players as well, and if you give them a bit of time, they can score goals and they can create chances. That's what they do every single game they play. So you have to be on top of your game for 90, and that's what we didn't do.
Oh, look, it's obviously a painful one for us. Credit to Liverpool, they were too good for us today. They're in a great moment. They're in great form. They obviously feel really confident, and it was just a bridge too far for us today. We looked, we looked like we lacked a little bit of sort of energy, which is understandable.
We are not happy with the fact that we conceded 3 goals. That's very clear. But we scored 6. That is it's not very easy. So Tottenham is a really good team. They press really high and they are quite aggressive. So yeah, we knew that we had to put the ball in behind and score the opportunities we had. So we are happy with the result. Of course, many things to improve. But yeah, it's nice to get the 3 points.
Being able to play through the Spurs back line and runners in behind, you caused a lot of chaos.
Yeah, especially Dom. Dom is amazing. He can do everything on the ball, off the ball. He's really good. He can run in behind. So he's a really important player for us. I think he played a really good game.
You're scoring goals for fun, but you're also conceding far too many here at home in the last 3 games, League and Cup. It's 13 now conceded. Do you put that down to the fact that you're so short of your first choice defence, really, or is it a bit more than that?
Look, you know what? I'm just going to stop answering these questions. If people can't see the obvious, I'm not going to point it out. So, look, make what you will of it. Yes, we're conceding goals, But if you want to discount the fact that we're missing a goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs and a left-back as well, and that hasn't coincided with what we're doing, so I don't know what to say anymore. So I think people make up their minds in their own way, whether they either think what I'm doing is good or they don't think what I'm doing is good, and that's fine.
Well, I think, Ange, these two have made up their minds on what they see are the problems facing Spurs defensively. Do you want to go first, Shay?
Yeah, I feel for Ange a little bit, actually. I've got some sympathy for him. But I suppose it doesn't help himself. We look at the back four, really inexperienced playing deal. You look at the back four, you got Poor, obviously Knott's a right back, Dragison's a second choice centre back, Gray's a young kid playing out of position, and Spence is a right back playing left back. So straight away he's sort of really struggling at the back, and this back four never worked together again. So we look at the far side. Poor's got a 2v1, but you have to have balance in any team, Jason. Where's the midfield? Where are they getting back to sort of help out? Look at how much space Gakpo's on the edge of the box. It's crazy. That's your 2 defensive midfielders, Sarr and Basuma, nowhere near it. And that was a warning shot early doors for Spurs. They're too open. I mean, Ange will have to take some responsibility. Again, poor pass from Basuma, and they're right at the heart of the defence again now. This is Salah. We know how dangerous he is. What a brilliant player. But there's 3 Tottenham players around him. Someone's got to get a tackle. Someone's got to get a block. And again, off the crossbar, really, really lucky to get away with that. Now, they can only get away with it so long when there's a team like Liverpool playing. This is obviously Sarr and Basuma again. The space, Szoboszlai, false 9, whatever you want to call it. But someone's got to be giving them information. They block that line into Szoboszlai. Now, again, this is the 2 guys at the back who have not played together in this position. It's a cross in from Robertson. And again, they miss out in the header. McAllister, not the first McAllister to be left alone at Christmas, Jason, with the header, with an easy header. But this is just 10 seconds after Maddison got back to 2-1 Tottenham, Jason. And look how open they're. 10 seconds after you've got back in the game, calm down, stay nice and calm. But I think Sarr's got to tuck in. You're sitting midfielder, he's getting there too late. Look, that's 2 or 3 passes, and you're right through the heart of the defence. Now, Spence, give him some credit, gets back in, but it's all last ditch, hanging on for dear life. And the frustrating thing about this goal, right on the stroke of half-time, this is injury time. If Ange can get them in at half-time, just get yourselves through. You look at Gray jumps across. I think Dragison naturally as a centre-half should come across. Porro should come across as well. Now, Dragison's going to go to this ball. He's got to go and win it. He can't go there. And keep an eye on Dragison and Szoboszlai, who scores the goal. He's nowhere near getting back into position. And I think that's the killer goal. I know there's 6 goals today, but that 3rd goal is an absolute killer right on the stroke of half-time. If Ange had got them in at half-time at 2-1, I'm not saying they would have come up, but it would have given them something to hold on to the second half.
Yeah, and we can see the expected goals there, the second highest in the Premier League this season, and that shows how open Tottenham were and how willing Liverpool were. And if you give a team like Liverpool the opportunity to run forward and commit people forward, they're going to punish you.
You pundits often talk about game management. That moment when Liverpool scored their third, they were in possession of the football and they gave it away so easily. So sometimes isn't the responsibility on the players then to think, let's keep hold of the ball here, let's get in at half-time and, as you said, regroup at 2-1 and who knows what might happen.
Because Maddison scored in the 41st minute, so just before half-time itself, you're back in the game, give yourself something to hold on to. Let's see it out till half-time. Yes, we played poorly first half, but at 2-1 at half-time, we'll take that. We can reorganise at half-time, come out better second half. But game management, the balance in the team for me is all wrong as well. And to go in a 3-1, it's game over.
Let's talk Liverpool, Glenn, because there were so many Liverpool players we could have picked out, but you were really impressed with Dominic Szoboszlai.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of Liverpool's attacking quality has had high praise this season, but Szoboszlai for me was absolutely exceptional. Everything ran through him, and we can see he was almost in like a false nine position. No one gets tight to him, but regardless of that, what he does with the football, he keeps it moving, he links the play really well, and he's always trying to get into the box. We can see him drifting into the box. He actually gets up with his header, and McAllister just drifts in for a simple header. But he did that all afternoon. Spurs just never got to grips with him. Here again, flicks it on. First thought, can I get in the box? Makes that positive run forward. Salah obviously aware, and once he gets in there, really cool, calm, calculated, tucks it home. All afternoon he did this. Look at him breaking the line as a 9, gets him out, skips past Fraser Foster, and he'll be disappointed he doesn't do better. This is his one failure of the afternoon. We can see Dragusin getting sucked in here. He's aware of the space that's been left by the centre-half, and once this ball gets recycled out, he sees Gray's isolated, and he dips in behind him, makes it really hard for the young centre-back, or should I say midfielder stroke centre-back, and this first touch is sublime, and then the awareness to find Salah for a very, very simple finish for the Egyptian. 71st minute, 5-1 up, and look at this. This is the other side of the game. Doesn't really need to be doing it, but leading by example. And this is the last clip I've got for you here. Just holding that false 9 position. Spurs could not get close to him all afternoon. Just keeps this ball ticking along. Goes to duck in there. Holds his position. Eventually it ends in Diaz. But I mean, Liverpool's number 8 was absolutely fantastic.
He was terrific. It wouldn't be Liverpool analysis without mentioning Mohamed Salah as well. It's so important to this team.
He's unbelievable. I mean, you're right. You know, that graph speaks volumes for itself. Like the most assists, the most goals in all competitions. He's a special, talented player. Obviously, the big news around him is he's going to stay, is he going to go? The numbers back it up, Jason. I don't think they can afford to let him go. He's just phenomenal.
He's got to stay, isn't he?
Well, I'm sure Liverpool fans will be desperate for him to stay. First man to hit double assist for Christmas in Premier League era.
Fantastic. By the way, the Home Alone reference.
Oh, yeah. Nailed it.
Performance of the day, right?
Yes.
I thought it went over his head.
Will, but even in a victory like that, even in a performance like that, he still finds time to just pick fault with his team, one or two members of the team as well. But from our incredible vantage point up here, Jamie, we saw him at the full-time whistle. He looked like the calmest man in the stadium as he strolled across the away fans. There's no great fanfare with him. He seems to be very neutral whether they win or lose. Could this be actually his biggest strength?
Yeah, and you're saying he's not like that when they lose. They don't lose often. I mean, they've lost once in 25 games. I mean, it's an unbelievable
Well, they haven't lost away from home yet, so we haven't seen it.
But I think the thing that I think everyone's almost fell in love with a little bit is the fact that he hasn't tried to imitate Jurgen Klopp in any way. So when you're saying he walks over, he's nice and calm, people really remarked on that in the first game away at Ipswich. It wasn't over to the fans. That was Jurgen Klopp style. Everyone just wanted Slot to be himself, and that's what he's been. And when you're looking at Liverpool, what you want is someone to come in and add something to Jurgen Klopp, not take away. And I think he has done that. When we're looking at that game today from Spurs' point of view, sometimes when Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool was we were watching them, sometimes the result didn't go well. It was a little bit like that end-to-end. There's a little bit more control. So he's kept the best bits of Jurgen Klopp, you know, pressing, being aggressive, scoring goals, but they're better defensively. And that's why I think in his interview there he's frustrated with the 2 goals in the second half. And I said right after the game, that'll be a message that he'll be using. But it's a remarkable start. I think when you listen to little things the players say in interviews as well, you pick up little things as well. I think he's made a big impression on the players as well, and they feel like he's taken the team on as well.
They are top at Christmas. 6 of the last 10 sides in the Premier League to be top at Christmas have gone on to win the league. Is this going to be Liverpool's year again?
They've got a great chance. I think it's still too early to say. A lot can happen, a lot can change. I think obviously the most important thing is that Manchester City, it's not the Man City of the last few years, they're out the equation.
But what can derail Liverpool from here?
Anything. You only got to have a couple of injuries. Things can change. You know, you lose a bit of confidence. You lose a couple of games. We've seen it before. Anything can still happen. That's why Les would have won the Premier League. He was in this position. They were flying it, in that period. I also think that one of the things that I loved the most, having watched Jurgen Klopp teams, and I enjoyed him, I loved him as a manager. He was such a talisman, not just for the club, but also for the city. But I always felt, and I'd watch that team, and I would go, as a midfield player, it must have been quite hard to play in that team. Like, I think about maybe the best midfield they had, like with Fabinho in the time, Wijnaldum and Henderson, but they had to work like dogs. They were everything. It wasn't about the midfield. But what he's done this year, by changing it and saying, look, I don't want, whereas Jurgen Klopp would have gone, I want Endo as my 6 because he'll work hard and he'll put out fires and do all the hard work. I want that person to dictate how we play. And he's obviously wanted Zubimendi, didn't get him through the door, and he thought, how else can we play that I can get someone in there? And he looked at Gravenberch, who played, obviously he could play as an 8 and he's played at 6. He's got obviously a lot of potential, and thought, you can be my man. And he runs that midfield. And then they've got obviously McAllister, and it looks like a more enjoyable experience because you just don't have to run on second balls, and it's not just about the front three. He has made the midfield such an integral part of the game, and they look, I'm not trying to dismiss anything that Jurgen Klopp did, but they're actually a more enjoyable side to watch at times, purely from a connoisseurs of a midfield point of view, because of how they play and how they dictate the game, and having a controlling 6 that wants to play forward all the time and so comfortable on the ball. It's not about winning the second balls, and that's what I've really enjoyed about what he's done.
They've both had a go at you. Have you noticed?
Yeah. But I didn't need to have a go.
No, dig about losing the lead. Dig about the
what I'm trying to say, it can happen, Les.
It's Christmas, Les.
We were 12 points.
So what's your word of warning for this Liverpool team?
We were sitting here, we would probably be sitting in that change room in a complacent way, thinking, right, we're 12 points clear, with a game in hand as well, thinking we were going on to win the league. Without a shadow of doubt. And I think someone had calculated it, saying if we'd have carried on winning in the manner that we'd win, we would have had the league won by March. All I'd say is don't allow complacency to come in. And when I look at that Liverpool side, I don't see it. Defensively, they're tight. OK, there was a bit of a lapse because they were 5 goals up. But they look tight. Every department you look at in this Liverpool side just looks strong.
Well, they do. But as you said, Liverpool knew that. They liked that. And they were prepared to go more than toe-to-toe with them today.
Well, exactly that. You get a sense, I mean, Tottenham have, certainly in my time, were like that as well. They used to be quite an aggressive team. They didn't mind mixing it with you. They always backed themselves. I think, Peter, you had some great games with Tottenham as well for Manchester United. In recent times, with the likes of Conte and Mourinho, they've gone back to more of a cautious mode, and not really a mode that Tottenham fans have enjoyed too much. And now they've gone full circle. And now whoever they play, it's like a shootout. You know, there's never a dull game with Tottenham. And it suited Liverpool. They've simply got a better team, a well-oiled team that all know what they're doing. So, you know, having a shoot-off and Liverpool looking at that and thinking, do we need to tactically change? You'd say no. Let's play them at their own game. We're too good for them, and that's what they did. And basically the shootout went the way we thought. Lots and lots of goals, but most of them for Liverpool. And it was, I thought it was half flattered Tottenham in the end. 6-3 sounds as if it was quite close, but Liverpool battered them. Really, it was one-sided right from the start. And I never ever thought that Liverpool were going to get beat or be under any pressure today.
OK, well, 9 goals, 6 of them to Liverpool. Let's talk to one of the goal scorers for Liverpool. Dominic Szoboszlai joins us live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Thanks for joining us, Dominic. I mean, goodness me, that was an incredible game to watch. What on earth was it like to play in?
I think it was even better to play than to watch. As I said before, it was really a good game for the fans who came to the stadium, saw 9 goals. But I think it was more happy for us because we took the 3 points.
And Mo Salah was talking there. There's no surprise to anybody how Tottenham play. So when you come to a ground like this today, unlike perhaps other fixtures, there's no surprise the way your opponents are going to come up against the game. And it looked as though that played into your hands at times.
Yeah, it was our plan. We knew it, that they're going to defend high, and that's why we took, actually, without a number 9, Lucho was a number 10 next to me, and he was dropping more to get the balls, and if no one follows him, then he can turn. But if someone follows him, then it's a big space behind, so I can get to into the space and make a lot of difference.
Dominic, it's Michael Owen. Well played today. Just wanted to talk through your goal. What was going through your mind? Did you consider taking it first time, and then once you'd taken a touch, what were you thinking in terms of the finish? Was it just to hit the target, or did you see a little space between the goalkeeper's legs?
No. To be honest, I didn't see no space there. I just hope that Mo sees me. I took the touch inside and, hope for the best.
Yeah, and then you were later involved in another goal. Again, Mo Salah, you were returning the favour, let's say. You could have shot in this situation. I'm sure Mo Salah would have shot if he was you, but this was brilliant awareness to play the ball to Mo.
Yeah, that's the difference between us.
Yeah. I know how he feels. I don't know how you feel. I was selfish too.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for him as well. He gave me in the first half. I told him I'm going to give him back. So,
brilliant.
And for Arne Slot, I mean, he's only lost one game. You're top of the league at Christmas, 4 clear with a game in hand. I mean, in all honesty, you couldn't have dreamt of this situation.
I think everybody's dreaming of these situations, but we see many times that teams were in front of other teams and. It's still 6 months to go, so we are looking for the table a little bit, but also we are just taking care of ourselves, getting our points. Still one more game to go in front of the other teams. So yeah, we want to be as much in front as we could.
I know it's the same set of players, Dominic, but with the new manager tweaking things here and there, is it a surprise how quickly you've all taken it on board and the fantastic results in every competition that you've had?
Probably, actually, no one expected us to start so well. But he's believing in the team, we are believing in him, and I think we need the whole squad, and that we showed it many times. Doesn't matter who plays, we give our best on the pitch, Champions League, Cups, and in the Premier League as well. That's why we are at the top of the table and top of the Champions League.
Well, very well played today. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And he's one of the Liverpool goal scorers for you live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's the point, Peter, as well. When they play like they did today, they've got goals all over the pitch, haven't they?
I think Liverpool, in the last couple of years, they've had goals from everywhere, really, and that's been the strength of the team. It would be interesting to hear exactly what it is, the difference from last year to this year is, because they kind of look more solid.
Well, Michael used the word control, didn't he, before the game?
Yeah. They're still scoring the goals. They're still coming up with the chances like they did last season, but they kind of look a lot more solid. And we are at Christmas now. They're top of the league. They're in the semi-final of the League Cup. They're top of the league of the Champions League. I mean, that's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And now you're looking at it, you're thinking, yeah, this might just be that year, where they can go and win all the big things. But when you look at the playing material, you think, well, it's not really like what Man City had in the last sort of, and still have, of course. They don't have like 2 teams, but still it's working out for them, and it's absolutely impressive. What they did today was fantastic. What they they came out and they knew how Tottenham were going to play, and they absolutely exposed them at their home turf. They humiliated them, and rightly so. You said before, it could have been a lot more, and it should have been a lot more. But I mean, I'm now beginning to think that Liverpool can actually go all the way, and yeah.
Said it through gritted teeth there, Peter.
No, I would love Man United to win the league. We're nowhere near that. But I really like.
And you'd wake up from
football,
that dream at the moment, Peter.
I like football when there's an element of risk, but also, to use your word, control. So when you combine the two of them with good players, you end up with having good football and entertaining football. You don't have to go. I mean, today I think Tottenham, the way they approached the game was just a little bit silly. You know, they're just giving a lot of space away that they didn't have to give away. That kind of football might be enjoyable. It's not enjoyable for Tottenham fans today, but Liverpool's way of playing is quite entertaining. And you know, you combine those two things, you know, you never know what it can. And it was not great teasing. It was like with a big smile.
Well done.
But from Spurs' point of view, 9 minutes into the second half, at 3-1, they concede the first goal of the second half, and then they were chasing. And when you've got Mo Salah, you've got a chance of winning the league, haven't you, Jermaine?
Yeah, and obviously, the next goal was always going to be important. But again, transition. Tottenham are just sort of like all over the place. And yeah, I mean, Liverpool, I mean, it's just the timing of the movement, you know, making the right decisions at the right moments, just really clinical. And a lot of the goals, they look quite easy, but then it's the weight of the pass, then it's the connection. Here, you see the weight of the pass here. It's the right timing, just keeps himself one side. And there are a lot of players who make the wrong decision. But, you know, he goes across goal, gets fortunate, gets lucky, but it's because they make the right decisions all the time. And that's why they score so many goals.
And they have the numbers as well.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. You have a certain element of control, but you're also taking risks. You're committing 5 players to go forward.
And then this was the one we saw.
Yeah, I like this goal. I mean, any young centre-forward wanting to score goals, just have a look at, it's a tiny thing, but Mo Salah here, I mean, he's left-footed. He could have swept it in with his left foot, but I just thought I'd make a point of it. Here, he's got to really find that corner. If he goes left foot, you watch how close the goalkeeper gets when he hits his right foot. He buys himself about an extra metre in the goal there by letting it come across, because he opens the angle more. If he hits it early, he keeps the angle closed and the goalkeeper gets it. And he's got to really be precise. Lets it come across his body, that then opens the goal a lot more. So just a tiny little thing. But as Jermaine just said there, goal scoring is about tiny matters. And if you equate it to numbers, then you're giving yourself a far better chance of scoring a goal by making the right decisions. And you have a look at this graphic now that he's just entered the big league with some of the greats of all time, obviously, with Liverpool, and he's not slowing down, is he?
Well, he's gone to all-time 4th today, as you can see, in the list, on to 229. But that last column is interesting, Michael. He is the fastest to any total. His minutes per goal is better than everybody else on that list.
Yeah, and that's the hard bit to equate, though, isn't it? Because all of those players are from a totally different generation. So it's very difficult to say when it was harder or easier to score goals. Even my generation to this generation now, it's quite difficult to say, right, well, who's the best and who's this from you know, 10, 20 years ago. So it's quite difficult to do that, but numbers don't lie. I mean, it's quite easy to say that he's one of the all-time greats already for Liverpool. And as I say, he's not slowing down, he's not stopping. If he signs a new contract, then he'll be in the top 3 in no time, and then maybe one day even threatening the Ian Rush record. I never thought I'd say that.
No. Just to put it into context for my good friend, he's 9th. Only 8 people in the history of Liverpool Football Club have scored more
goals. Why didn't you put me on the list then?
Because the producer said top 5. Nothing to do with me. I asked for top 9, but it wasn't there. Okay. Anyway, 158 goals later for Liverpool. Well, there is, but if he maintains the recent consistency, 10 wins and 2 draws from the last 12 in all competitions, they certainly won't be far away. His standards is interesting, though. When we spoke to him after the City game, he alluded to that as well, as delighted. You can hear him there. For 10 minutes, we stopped running, we conceded 2 goals.
Yeah, and it shows what can happen. But as I say, I take that with a pinch of salt in that they won't stop running. If they were playing against Arsenal today and it was 1-1 or 0-0, they wouldn't stop running. But it was a strange game today. You wouldn't look at Liverpool and say, oh, that's the way they play today. There was far less control, I guess, than what we've been used to. But that was down to the opposition. I mean, he's so impressive. Whatever he says, I'm clinging on to every word, listening to him. He thinks about it. He says it with an assurance, a calmness. He's top class, I think. And Liverpool fans, if you had asked them, you know, after Jurgen Klopp, the highs of Jurgen Klopp, everybody thought, oh, it can only go one way, but it's actually not. It's a continuation of brilliance.
Interesting. Let's go back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Michael's former teammate, Danny Murphy, waiting to speak to us. Good to see you, Dan. I mean, I guess that was a privilege to be in the stadium for that crazy game, wasn't it?
You get to see it, don't you, firsthand when you hear the speed of Liverpool's play, the quality, the running power that you were talking about. Yeah, I mean, it was an advantage for Liverpool, I suppose, that 5 or 6 of them didn't even travel midweek, and Tottenham had the same 11. But the quality is there. The gap is obvious. Brilliant performance, and they were never really in any trouble.
And how clinical were they?
Well, the Liverpool front players are such a threat. They're all at it at the moment. They all look a threat. But Salah doesn't matter whether he's playing well or not. His end product's unbelievable. He picks the right pass. He's there to put one in on the back post, tap. He's always in the right place at the right time. But I thought Diaz was outstanding. He doesn't stop, and he's got that game intelligence where he can play in that little deeper role as a 10, false 9, whatever you want to call it. And they've got options because Jota's back. Don't get me wrong, I thought Tottenham helped them massively in the first half. I mean, the positional play of, I don't know what he was trying to do with Kulusevski and Son, because Trent and Robertson were getting 2v1s all the time down the sides, hence the first 2 goals coming from it. And he was right. I was right behind Ange, and he couldn't see it. It was so obvious. Trent was having a field day. So they absolutely took advantage of it, and could have been 10, could have been 12.
Murph, it's Mo. I hope you're well, mate. Just watching the game, looking at the potential hurdles, let's say, for Liverpool. Do you see any? I mean, Manchester City probably blowing it already, so it's looking like Arsenal and Chelsea. But is it Liverpool that have to beat themselves now? Can you see them dropping away in any way? It looks pretty easy for them at the moment to me.
I think the only concern would be Virgil and Mo. Salah's the most reliable in terms of goals and assists, and I think Virgil is the kingpin at the back. I mean, they haven't been quite as watertight since Konaté's got the injury, although Gomez, I thought, did well today. But if those two were to have a problem, then you could potentially, maybe. Other than that, they look fit, they look sharp, they've got competition for places, the bench is good. They can buy in January if they want, 1 or 2 maybe, reinforcements. And I think, although, I agree with you, I don't think City are in it. I think Arsenal are probably the strongest contender, even though Chelsea are second at the moment. And I think even Chelsea, really, defensively, they still look like they can concede goals when I've seen them play. I think Liverpool are in a great chance, Mo. They've got it in their own hands to a degree, and their home form as well. I mean, really, really strong at home, which is key as well. But I don't see, come the last couple of weeks of the season, Liverpool not being in it at least.
That's one of your former clubs. It's interesting to hear you saying you sat right behind Ange Postecoglou today then. Where are we with Spurs? Are we at a point where there has to be a proper sort of post-mortem investigation here, or do we just accept that it isn't going to change and that's what we're going to see?
I struggle with it. I'm really struggling. I'm a bit like, same as Kara's opinion the other day. You can't play that way where it's just when you've got the ball. When they haven't got the ball, I can't see what they're trying to do. Some of it's man for man, some of it's positional. Honestly, I was lost. And at one point, you've just got to make some decisions on the pitch to stop the avalanche of chances. And the first half, it was non-stop. And he didn't do anything. And the players didn't take responsibility. I mean, I don't understand why any of the players weren't saying to Son, look, Trent's running the game. He's dictating play. He's running past you. He's getting loads of possession. At least stay with him for 10 minutes. Nobody does anything. They'll have games where they destroy teams. The other thing is, when they go a goal down here, the anxiety, you could sense it. Their confidence was drained from the players. And when they go a goal up, it's the opposite. They really go after teams and everyone wants the ball. But I don't see how it can keep going. The fans were on the edge today at one point. When it went to 5, if there'd have been another and they hadn't responded, this place would have emptied.
Murph, it's JD. So do you think the gaffer's got to take full responsibility? Because we can talk about, obviously, they concede a lot of goals and, going forward they're good in that. But at some stage, surely players as well, you have to take responsibility as players and show that sort of like that football personality. But do you feel like the manager has to take full responsibility in terms of how they play?
I think it's always a balance, JD. There's a certain type of player that takes responsibility on the pitch, irrelevant to the manager's message. And I don't see too much of that going on. Even the other night against Man U, he can't be shouting on every 5 minutes to the keeper when to kick it and when to play out. That's got to be down to some of the players' responsibilities and leadership. I agree with you. But ultimately, he sets the tone, doesn't he? He sets the tone for the way they play. And I think it's not about offensively. They're great to watch, but defensively in certain games, it's not every game. Sometimes they're okay because they've got the ball a lot and their confidence is up. But I mean, against good teams, they're going to get ripped apart because we've all played the game. We know if you want to go man for man, you have to have super fit players who can run all day and be concentrated for 90 minutes and play weekend, midweek. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah. Murph, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you.
Cheers, chaps. Stay warm in that studio, won't you?
Yeah, it was that kind of day for Ange Postecoglou. Has he a point about the energy levels? Did that play a part today with the same team again for Spurs?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a high energy game. You play against Liverpool, you're going to have to sort of like put in those sort of like outputs, you know. But at the same time, you know, you still be you can't use that as an excuse. You know, you still don't want to concede 6 goals at home. Of course, I mean, Liverpool, currently they're the best team in the league. And, you know, we spoke about the 4 players that have got, you know, they're always going to cause you problems. But to concede 6 goals like that, you know, it's losing games and getting beat. You know, when you get beat like that at home, it's of course, it's disappointing. And you can see from his body language, it's almost lost for words, to be honest, because what do you say to the players? But I just don't think you can use that as an excuse. You know, if anything, if you are tired going into games, then you sort of like approach it in a different way. You know, obviously when Conte was there, people spoke about, obviously, out of possession, it was sort of like boring, you know, but it was hard to break down. You know, going forward, yeah, you've got good players. Tottenham are always going to create chances. And even a question about plan B and being able to adapt, it doesn't like it, but you're going to have to at some stage, because if you continue playing this way and conceding this amount of goals, then you're just going to go backwards, in my opinion.
And if you were a current player in that, you were talking to Murph there about, you know, grabbing responsibility or whatever, but they're obviously coached and told to play in a certain way. Defeats like today, would that damage belief in the way that you are playing?
Of course, but I feel like players have to take responsibility as well. I think at times where, obviously I wasn't a defender, but I feel like at times where, especially players that I played with, if I was a defender or fullback, there'd be times where someone next to me would say, no, you're standing here for 10 minutes. We've just equalised, it's 2-1. Ask referee, it's just game management. Speak to referee, how long's left? OK, we get through to half-time, 2-1. Second half, game on. We get the second goal.
Why do you think that isn't happening in this current side?
I don't know. But Murph said it there, you know, is there players there that are going to sort of like take that responsibility? Sometimes it's too literal. The manager says we have to do this, so we do this. You know, but the way Tottenham play, they've got freedom. You can see that they've got freedom to play, because in the final third, they're one of the best teams to watch. We've said that. But the other side of it, that people don't want to talk about, that's important, just as important. It's just there's no structure, and it's hard to watch it, because every time Liverpool went forward, it seems like they're going to score. They could have scored 10 goals.
It's not just with Tottenham. You don't have players who takes responsibility. It's very much the way football is moving. You don't have. I mean, again, you know, I don't want to talk too much about when I played, that it was better, but there were people in the teams that I played in that would take responsibility. A lot of them, most of them actually, would say, hey, this is not working, so we're going to do this or we're going to do that. Nowadays, you play in systems and with strict principles of what we do and what we don't do. For instance, we go back to Thursday night, how they conceded 2 goals against Manchester United by the goalkeeper actually giving the ball away inside their 18-yard box. Now, this game today started, you think, well, OK, they learned from that. They're not going to do that. But the game today started with Forster again giving the ball to Mo Salah, who could have scored within, was it 3 minutes? Yeah. Same thing. So you play in principle, and you do. When you do that, when you tell your players that is the way you have to do, you also take away some of that, some of the responsibility that the players should have. So you don't give them that complete freedom to actually change things on the pitch. They might have felt that this needs to be changed or this needs to be sorted out, but it goes against the way that we play our football. And a lot of managers today are being brought in because they have a certain philosophy, and they have to apply that to the team. We've seen with Russell Martin at Southampton, he was brought in with the system that he wanted to play. The players weren't there. to play that system. They didn't have the quality, and eventually he ended up losing his job last week because they simply conceded far too many goals and lost too many games because of that. So it's easy to talk about players should take responsibility, but if they're not allowed to take a responsibility, it's very difficult to sort of evolve that thought.
Yeah, I agree with Peter. And to elaborate on that, you know, football is going a little bit like life, like business, like anything. It's numbers driven, it's data driven. You know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you had people making decisions on the pitch. That's why you required leadership qualities on the pitch. Nowadays, leadership qualities, they're important, but they're probably not as essential as they used to be because, as Peter's just alluded to, people have got instruction. The leadership's coming from all week saying, right, when the ball's here, you're there, you're doing this, you're doing that. And everybody, it's robotic nowadays. Football is becoming robotic. There's less initiative on a football pitch, less mavericks on a football pitch than there used to be. Even the quality players, if they don't have the running stats that back it up, then, you know, they're out the team. So football is going like that, whether we like it or not. It's really intriguing in certain ways to listen to the numbers and to understand certain scenarios. And you know, and you ask a question of a coach and you say, why did you do this? He said, well, because if we put the ball in that situation, 64% of the time we do this, and if we do it in this, it's only 52. So we're going to do it that way because the numbers of generations of football show that's more successful. And you just right, okay. It's numbers driven. It's crazy. The world is getting crazy.
But Mo, it starts from the academies.
But it does.
I think you've got to be careful with academies because at times I feel like the players are overcoached. It's different when you go to Italy and Spain. There's freedom with the coaches, freedom with the players. You have to go and express yourself. So you're good players. That's why you're here. A lot of players can't do extras, so they'll make a mistake on a weekend. For instance, you know, you talk about goalkeepers. You know, if you make a mistake when you think, okay, then I'm going to stay out. You take responsibility. So I'm going to stay out for extra 20 minutes and, I don't know, maybe pass it into a mini goal. That's what I need to improve on. Now, you can't do that because everything's data-driven. You've done too much today. Or centre forward that's missed chances. I want to do 20 minutes after training. Now, you can't do that because it's data-driven. You're in the red zone. So the game's completely different. Like, I could never imagine when I was playing that, you know, someone at the sports science team would say to me, oh, you can't do that because, you know, you've done enough, you're in the red zone. But I need to practice. Come Saturday, if I miss this chance, I can't stand in front of the fans and be like, oh, I couldn't do the extra 20 minutes because I'm in a red zone. Like, it's completely different.
In terms of whatever zone they were in on the pitch today, is it as simple as Ange Postecoglou saying we were up against a much better opponent, or did Tottenham just not help themselves at times as well?
It's fine saying that. That is true. That's factual, really. They're against a better opposition.
But they couldn't keep the ball at times, could they?
Well, they couldn't because they're against a better opposition. And, you know, I mean, we see a lot of the time here, Steve, we've just got a group of clips together, the amount of times they give the ball away in dangerous areas, or they give the ball away and allow breaks. That was early in the game, even when they're attacking. Look how many bodies they've got forward. They lose one ball and they've got 5 or 6 players in front of the ball. Now, to be fair to them, they do run back, but they're also all over the place, as Jermaine alluded to. They don't know where they're going. A lot of the time, they get numbers back. I mean, even here, they're 5 against 4, but it's the timing of the run. You know, they have numbers to defend it a lot better than they do. But they just don't. Look at this. There's only 4 Liverpool players. They've got 7 players there in shot, plus a goalkeeper. That's 8. Yet they still can't defend it. They just don't know what they're doing in certain scenarios. It's quite worrying, and I guess that it's not things that he works on. When you look at the team, you think, oh, Tottenham must only work when they've got the ball, and where people go when they've got the ball. And it's all right going into dangerous positions, but then if you lose the ball, and we talk about fullbacks being almost up there with the striker, almost inside forwards, which is great when you've got the ball. You know, you're outnumbering people and overloading, as they like to use now. That's all great. But what if you lose the ball and then all of a sudden you're 5 against 3 at the back or 5 against 2? And that happens all the time. We watched it all the time tonight. So it's great looking at the positives, but you've got to balance it out with the negatives as well. And when you're playing a team like Liverpool, go toe-to-toe at your peril. You're not good enough to. You've played a game, you know, you've got 24 hours less rest and recovery. You're playing the same team, whereas Liverpool are chopping and changing and freshening it up. You're playing against better players with more technical and tactical nous, and you go gung-ho and you get your backside smacked like you would, like you probably deserve to, because you're not really showing you are showing the opposition respect, but you're not really. You just will play our game and that's that. Well, unfortunately, you always come up against someone bigger and better in life, and that's what they came up against today.
It's frustrating, of course. You watch it, especially when you watch the clips there. Especially when you play against a Liverpool team, on transitions, they're so good and they've got 4 players where they can punish you. Then you talk about the detail where the pass is important. You've got to keep the ball, because a lot of teams, they're actually vulnerable when they've got the ball. Because as soon as it turns over and you get that one pass, how Liverpool do it so well, you're in trouble.
Forest away, former manager. Nuno, of course, in 4th. On Boxing Day for Spotting. I mean, his body language, they look shell-shocked. I mean, how potentially damaging could this be?
Yeah, he does. And it's so difficult for a manager and players to come out and sort of like find the words to try and justify the performance. But the fact of the matter is you concede 6 goals at home, against a good team. And there's obviously no shame in losing against Liverpool, but it's just conceding 6 goals. It's in the manner which you lose. But listen, we just spoke then about, Sonny is such a, he's the captain, he's a top player. And he's sort of like we spoke about him being isolated. Can he play more central ways, more effective in the game? But it's disappointing. But you need to just keep going.
I think he would. I don't think he's got the pace he had 2 years ago, where he was absolutely outstanding and winning. Did he win the Golden Boot or was it close?
Joint.
Yeah, joint.
He doesn't. And to play in that position, in that team, in that system, you need that pace. And today, he was nowhere near getting any breaks to do anything. I think central he would be much better and more benefit, because he's a very intelligent player. And when you look back at this game, and of course we have to isolate this game because it is kind of a freak result. But when you look back at this game, they needed a little bit of intelligence in there to sort of just manage the game, run the game, and I think he's more than capable of doing that. It's probably why he's a captain as well. But just something I thought of there. You go back to so when you think about Boxing Day, it's only a couple of days away. They've got another big, massive game. How do you build the players up again? I mean, they look shell-shocked. That's the words you used. How do you build them up again? Well, it starts with the manager. Already in this interview, I would have liked a little bit more, today wasn't great, but it's what happened. So when I'm one of his players, when I'm watching it back, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. We're not in a really bad situation. But he actually 3 times used the phrase, in the situation that we're in. That means when I'm watching this back as a player, I think I'm in a situation. What kind of situation am I in? And on the subject of the leadership that's not in teams anymore, we didn't see that too much today. What am I going to do? I need my manager to absolutely help me, and he's telling me that I'm in a situation. I think it's what's in football at the moment. It's a problem that it's like that. I know players every day they will get their training, all the numbers, all the video, they'll get that. And I know, most of the players I know, they will actually look at it. And I'm just thinking, it's a little bit too much, isn't it? Because it becomes their security or safety or their dummy, if you like. What am I going to do the moment it's not happening, when I'm having a bad training session? And am I going to bring that into the next game? In all of this, I need my manager to stand up for me and say, hey, everything is all right. We can have a bad game. We went to Southampton. No, we actually went Newcastle 5-0, lost 5-0 on a Sunday. Saturday after, we won to Southampton, lost 6-3. And then we lost on the Wednesday at home to Chelsea, 1-0. 3 games. Conceded a lot of...
What the grey shirt you're wearing today reminded you of that?
Well, it wasn't that game. I actually thought it was that game. It was.
Oh, okay then.
I had a bet on it. I lost a bet. I thought it was that game.
Okay.
But in that, the manager never, ever wavered away from we were good enough. He never blamed us. He always, supported us. And then
I think Andrew's. I think it's more frustration with the questions. Because I think when it's constant,
yeah,
like
but he's a manager, he knows that's
I think when he's constant, like Plan B and being adaptive. I think he's frustrated with the same questions, and when it doesn't go well, it's just like people keep saying about Plan B. I've already said this in my principle. I'm never going to change, and it's constant. But it is what it is. If you concede 6 goals, people are going to come for you. They're going to ask those questions. But I think that's why his body language is. He seems flat, and it does rub off on the players. I understand what you're saying.
Unlike Arne Slot, so we're at Christmas, Liverpool are top, 4 points clear, game in hand. What kind of message does that and the result today send out to the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea if you're chasing them?
Well, you're waiting to try to find a chink in their armour, aren't you? At the moment, in every competition, they've been faultless. Of course, they lost at home to Nottingham Forest. Forest aren't a bad team. They can do that to you. But that's it. One little blip in half a season, nearly. It's quite incredible. He's picked up the baton from Jurgen Klopp and ran with it. And if anything, you could say improved. They've not won anything yet. They've not won anything yet, so we can't get carried away. But so far, it's been incredible. Smooth transition. He looks in control. His team look in control. They're sat pretty in all competitions. I mean, things are looking great. It'd be fascinating to see if he does anything to upset the apple cart in the transfer window. I suspect not much at all. But so far, so good for him. And Liverpool fans will all be having a great Christmas, I suspect.
They will indeed. And make sure you 3 do. My 3 wise men for Christmas today. Thank you very much indeed. Some are smiling more than others. From the 4 of us, we'll wish you all the very festive best. Take care.
Were absolutely sensational, and evidently and obviously they are clearly the team to beat in this Premier League title race. But Dion, the question from Tottenham's point of view is, why did they make it so easy for Liverpool?
I don't know. We're just watching that. We're just watching, and to be fair to Wrighty's gone, well, Liverpool didn't really have to be at their best. And when you watch, the short edit, it doesn't really tell you the full story of how dominant Liverpool were and how poor Spurs were in their own final third. And we know they gamble, we know they have to play, they've been told to play it all the time. But, there has to be an element of, right, I'm a man, I'm playing the game, I'm on the pitch, I've got to have to take a decision here because we're getting played around. Just for 10 minutes, lads, forget what the manager says, just stay here because they're better than us at the moment. Just stay here, stop the rot, at 2-1 at least. But nobody does it. And it's so frustrating to watch.
I mean, they're missing their first-choice centre-halves, so Romero's injured and Van de Ven. That's even more reason, isn't it, to play with a little bit of savvy, to play with a little bit of sense, because you're playing Dragusin and Gray, who's a young kid, who's done really well, who's a midfielder. Is that even more reason, Sean, isn't it, just to approach it a bit more pragmatically?
Yeah, but I think he's got to do that in general. I think it's not easy to come from any league in the world and walk into the Premier League and assume that with whatever club you're going to be that you're going to be successful. You have to work. You have to try and coach your team. You have to notice other people's issues where you can maybe attacked and notice where they can maybe attack you. And they've always been known for a high line. And Villa play a high line, but their fullbacks don't bomb forward and leave their 2 centre-backs exposed. So I think there is a way for him to play the way he wants to play, but I just think the fullbacks can't just exit the space, because even their 2 holding midfielders, when Liverpool were attacking, they're not even in the picture either. So where are they?
This hasn't changed in a year. The Chelsea game last season, and they had players sent off Tottenham, but it was exactly the same thing. So if I were a police inspector, I would say the evidence is that nothing is going to change, because he's had 14, 15 months to change it, and he hasn't. So why would he change it now, Ange Postecoglou?
I don't think he will. I think, like Dion said, I think there's players on the pitch, and at some point you have to be responsible on the pitch. The manager gives you information, but he can't always see as quick as you can what's happening on that pitch real time. So if Pedro's gone early and the centre-back's not happy, he's got to say, no, come back, sit here for a minute. Both of them can't go at the same time. If the ball's on this side, effectively Spence should be closer to his centre-backs and vice versa. They both can't just go, and the midfielders as well, because you're too exposed, especially against a team like Liverpool.
Dion, let's have a look at the goals. I mean, there were 6. There could have been 8, 9, 10. The fact that Tottenham got 2 in the last 10 minutes gave it a vague veneer of respectability. But every time we look at this, Dragusin, who is a centre-half, he gets caught under this, doesn't he? Diaz drifts off.
I mean, the ball. I mean, I'm trying to give him an out here because the ball is just outstanding, and to defend that's difficult in any time. But I mean, that one ball, it just nullifies 6 players, and they're back onto the back four. The gaps in between the back four are absolutely huge. Then they get themselves. What happens is sometimes they get too many players back, and neither of them do the job they should be doing.
No one's taking responsibility.
No, and they're just passing on. I mean, where's Dragusin?
So it's 2-1 now with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, but Dragusin's gone for a header there, right? He's not going to win.
Yeah, he shouldn't go for that. It kills the rest of his defenders. But even then, if he does go, the other defenders, for me, should have been dropping off. Yeah. And this situation here, look, where is everyone? Where's Pedro? Like, Spencer's just Pedro
by the ref, isn't
he? Yeah, he's too far.
He's too far up the pitch.
Yeah, and if it breaks down, and I've been in similar situations like this within my career where I've kind of said to my fullback, don't go, because if I lose the ball, nobody's there. But it's just time and time again. Look at that recovery run. It's always that split second or that yard too late. It's never like proactive. It's always like a reaction.
We were taught as players, whenever your recovery run has to be at the quickest speed you can get back in a straight line. That's what you're taught, and you can see a bit of jogging. And the most annoying thing about watching these goals go in for the Spurs players, defenders mainly, is that there's no anger. There's nobody's pointing a finger. Nobody's saying, why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? They're just accepting it, and that's the way it's going for Spurs.
Well, it means it's entertaining watching them, but I don't think that's much consolation if you support Tottenham. Their last 3 home games in all competitions, they've conceded a 6, a 3 and a 4. Wow. 3 in the midweek against Manchester in the Carabao Cup and 4 against Chelsea. So again, as we were saying, when you have so many injuries, of course they've got lots of injuries. But that is part of the game now, and I think we've got even more injuries than we've ever had because the game is played at such an intensity, and there are more games in Europe. You've got to think about, haven't you? How are we going to approach this against probably the best team in Europe, not just the league?
And you know what? I think if there's any team in the league right at this moment that you have to change your game for, just through respect, it's Liverpool. You've got to say, right, we want to do this. Let's do it if we can at the right time. Don't force it, because Liverpool are the best at nicking the ball off you in the final third.
I mean, Liverpool are brilliant at the moment, aren't they? Yeah. And I think we could probably all say that we've never seen Mo Salah better.
No, for me, he's in the best form of his life, and that is part of the reason why Arne should have changed just slightly what he was doing, because Spurs played a high line. Liverpool are known for players that running behind or hit you in transition. So you've kind of played into Liverpool's hands, and Liverpool capitalised off it. And Mo's in, fantastic. I think he's grown as a player, as an all-round player. He's more complete for me than he's ever been. The passes he sees and plays is completely different. And he's finishing, he can be in a game. Doesn't even have to play anywhere anymore. But he knows in that final third, he can create that assist.
Well, he's double figures for goals and assists. This is the equal quickest anybody has reached double figures in a season.
He's not even a forward, as in a centre forward.
I don't know where...
26 goal involvements, 15 goals, 11 assists. Listen, we love Cole Palmer. We think he's a brilliant player. Saka's having a good season, but they're 4 furlongs behind.
Yeah, he's one player you have to enjoy watching. You take your eye off him for a split second, something happens.
And it's not a sign of weakness, to change your game or your philosophy for one. If you respect that team, it's not a sign of weakness from Ange to go, right, hold it a minute. You two just stay here for the first 15, 20 minutes. Fullbacks, stay here. Let's see what they've got, and then we'll play our game. But he's just gone, right, high line, you two bomb on, and let's see what happens.
Going to take a good team to stop Liverpool winning this title, isn't it? Going to take an exceptional team to stop them winning the title.
Yes, but I still don't think... they played well, but I still don't think they're at their best. I think they still give up chances. Yeah, I think, if they hit where they're going to be when Konate's fit, no disrespect to Gomez, he's been playing well, but when Konate and Virgil, they very rarely concede, but they do give up that odd chance. I just don't think a lot of teams have taken it, and then they go down the other end of the
score. Their goal threat is so big, they can afford, frankly, to give up those chances.
Yeah, that's it.
Liverpool, Leicester next Boxing Day, Manchester United